G'day, ZiggyD here, and welcome to an extra late and extra special episode of Monday Musings. Extra special because today I have with me the radiant Amy, aka Gilbertamy on YouTube, who's a little bit shy to be on the YouTubes, but say hello. Say hello. Good job, good job. So, it's been a little while since the last episode of Monday Musings, but for those of you guys who are new to the channel, Monday Musings is, I'm just going to get rid of this so I'm not reflecting my eyes. There we go. Monday Musings is the show where usually I by myself ramble at the computer for 10 to 15 minutes and occasionally you guys get something out of it. But today we're going to have a bit of a mutual rambling because we got a request. Well, I got a request asking basically two questions which we're going to answer over the course of 2 weeks probably. But basically the first question was how do you go about getting a girlfriend when you are a hardcore gamer? And, you know, that's a question that felt pretty close to heart for me, and even to Amy herself. Like, not maybe the getting a girlfriend part, but maybe the getting a boyfriend part, because you're a reasonably hardcore gamer, you at least are now, but that might come into play more next week. The second question was, like, how do you keep a girlfriend? How do you keep a relationship going once you've actually, you know, you've been going for a while, and when you're still, you know, a hardcore gamer. But we're just going to focus today on the actually getting a girlfriend part, or forming a relationship. And we're going to start off with a bit of a backstory, or the story of how we met, and we'll give some tips and then some thoughts, and then maybe some extra tips. But shall I start off the story? All right. Don't worry, Amy's got some stuff to share a little bit later in the episode. But
hopefully words.
Hopefully words. There we go. We've got some words. So, the story of how we met. For backstory, for a little bit to set the scene, we met in the first year of university, and we've been together for about 5 years now. Now, prior to that, I've just come out of high school, obviously, and I wasn't the most confident dude. I had some female friends, and I did have a relationship in high school, but it was one that was formed outside of confidence. Like, it wasn't one that was formed out of my own personal confidence. So as a result, the relationship wasn't great, and it ended like, you know, most relationships do that I think, you know, don't form out of the right reasons, don't form out of that sort of confidence. So if you guys haven't seen my Monday Musings episode where I talked about confidence, which I'll link it in the description below, so check that out. I highly recommend watching that first because that's super important to this sort of topic. It's pretty crucial. Confidence is definitely like a major part of it. So, yeah, I wasn't the most confident dude coming into university, but around that time I started to realize how to go about being confident, which I've talked about in a previous episode, and I started to figure out just a few different things about integrating myself into social situations and how to go about being a new person, being the best person I could be. So that was interesting. So I moved into university, and I basically decided, this is probably the first tip as well, to put myself in a bunch of situations where I would end up talking to girls and making friends with them. And as a result, I actually had, well, not something I'm exactly proud of, but I had multiple relationships going at the same time in university. Oh, ZiggyD the player. I'm not at all proud of that. But I am proud of the fact that I was putting myself out there. I was putting myself in situations where that would happen. So I set myself a goal coming into university that I would sit next to a girl in every new class that I had. I viewed university as a chance to move into a new social situation where I could be a completely new person, or be, you know, a much more confident person. I, you know, cast off the stigmas that came from high school, moving into a new social situation. This doesn't just have to be something that you can do when you come into university either. Like, you can do this whenever you decide to put yourself into a new social situation. So each class I sat down and tried to talk to a girl and ended up forming a few relationships out of that. Is that good? Good? Okay, satisfied with that. So with that out of the way, one of those people that I talked to was not Amy, but it was Amy's housemate. And I flirted with Amy's housemate, and she ended up having a boyfriend, but that was okay. But nonetheless, I viewed that still as a good social experiment, good chance for me to get myself out there. So I ended up, you know, being brave and going shopping with her and some of her friends, none of whom I knew before that point. And that ended up leading to me getting invited to a feast, a bit of a housewarming party at Amy and Amy's housemate's house. So we went there, and then this is where we shift the story over to Amy, basically. Because what was your first hearings of me What were your first thoughts before you met me?
My housemate had a boyfriend, and he was lovely, and I knew him, and he stayed with us, and all of a sudden my housemate started talking about this Daniel from our class. She seemed very taken with him. I hated him. I hated that she was like flirting with this other mysterious figure when she, had a boyfriend already. Went shopping with him, and he rides a motorbike, and of course a motorbike. What a rebel.
See, I sound really cool, but I was actually a really awkward and non-confident person. I was just at the point of learning to start putting on a confident, appearance, and that actually eventually ended up teaching me to be confident. But that's in the other episode. Go watch that. Anyway, Amy, continue.
So, without knowing you, it was pretty nasty, actually. I just developed all these thoughts about you, like, what a repulsive human being. Like, stealing this girl, and I placed no blame on my housemate, which was really not appropriate. So I hated you. I hated you before I met you. And then you rocked up to our house on your motorbike.
But I had your attention.
Yeah, definitely.
I had your attention. And I really like when I'm doing things... Okay, when I'm doing a review for a video game, I really like working from a deficit, as in working from a position where things aren't great. So, for example, I like the idea of doing a review where initially I thought I would hate this game. I played it, I ended up liking it. So, in this particular situation, I was working from a deficit, and I think I thrive under those conditions, as is evident by our current
You didn't
position.
know.
No, I didn't know.
You didn't even know me. You didn't know about me.
No, I didn't. But anyway, continue.
So I suppose I had this image of my head of you, and when you actually stepped through our door, it all changed.
It all changed?
Yeah.
So what was the shift?
I had imagined you differently, and seeing you, I was kind of taken aback by how attractive you were.
So, we're back. Rudely interrupted by people trying to sell us electricity. Oh man. Anyway, Amy was just finishing saying how attractive she thought I was, which was very nice. But I just wanted to point out that I'm not a hugely attractive guy. I just scrub up all right. I think a huge portion of my attractiveness on the night and then was, partially, in the practical sense, making sure that I was clean, well groomed, that I had new clothes, but also the confidence. The confidence is a huge part of attractive. So I actually want to shift away from the story for the moment, if possible, to talk about confidence and girls only going for douchebags, basically. So there's this conception, there's this idea that girls only go for jerks. They only like jerks, or most girls will end up dating jerks, and that while that might be true sometimes, that girls do end up dating jerks, and I'm sure it goes both ways as well for either gender. The main thing that's actually going on there is that girls and guys and everyone goes for people that are confident, and unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, depending on how you look at it, being a jerk and being confident tend to go hand in hand. However, you can be confident without being a jerk, and yeah, it's possible. So I guess there was that automatic assumption there, because Amy had assumed, hello Tychus, that I was a jerk, and I guess based on, the stories and the previous actions, I had seemed like a bit of a jerk. But that shift from her hating me to instantly not hating me, I guess, was because I actually wasn't a jerk, but was still confident. So I still had that going for me. But how did things progress? Because that's not just how we became boyfriend and girlfriend. From that point, I guess what happened that night. And we talked a little bit earlier about personal space, about having your own space and having your own aura and things like that.
We didn't talk earlier about that.
We didn't talk about that?
No,
okay.
But we should.
Okay, well, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, in this particular circumstance when we met, during the course of the evening, my personal space was challenged. Not by Daniel, but by some other people there, and yeah, it was it was easy to distinguish between the people who are really, oh, I don't want to be near you for the rest of the night, and then Daniel just kind of, he wasn't all up. I don't know what to say.
No, but
you were just...
you've got that, you got that feeling, but that's a good feeling to mention because that's something I wanted to talk about in terms of from an analytical point of view, is that when we're trying to form a connection with someone, it can feel like we really want to, the way that we might do that sometimes, especially when we're really awkward. And I know this is something I've done a lot in the past where I've liked a girl and wanted to get, basically I wanted to get in her personal space because I wanted to form a connection with her. But I don't think that's the best way to approach things. Is to make people make people uncomfortable and to get in that space. So instead, I was focusing on connecting with that person from a distance, connecting with Amy from a distance, having my own confidence, using that as a magnetism to draw that person into me. So that's a little bit weird sounding, but basically, if you imagine the two people, I'm attracted to this person. Instead of trying to force my way into her, personal space, into her affectations. Instead, attracting that connection to happen.
There was a lot of eye contact.
A lot of eye contact and smiling. Smiling. So this going back to another practical tip, because I want to layer these tips in this story as we go. Learn to smile. That has been, when I was learning confidence, that was kind of one that went hand in hand with that. I never really felt confident to smile before that point. And I just hadn't practiced it much. But I started to learn the power of a smile. I actually started to learn this through work. I worked in retail, so often I would have I'd be standing there, customer would be standing there, customer would approach me, or I'd approach a customer that I wanted to talk to. And I started to learn that if I approach that person with a smile, put a little bit of a grin on, just a warm feeling. Not only was I in a better mood, try smiling. You feel better. It actually affects the way you feel. So I often can make myself happy just by smiling. But it also changes the way that person has that initial interaction with you. So it can be from, they might already be an angry person, but it instantly shifts that interaction into a positive light. And I started to learn the power of that, and it's really, really powerful. You can really change the way people would interact with you. When, in other situations, that might have been an awkward interaction, or they might have been angry, or it would have been unpleasant. Can end up being much, much more pleasant. And this is Tychus creating a bed on a beanbag. But this also goes on in other situations as well, even online when you can't smile at someone, but just approaching someone with that positive feeling. But in terms of smiling and that confidence as well is huge. So eye contact and smiling, that's a great way to have that person gravitate towards you instead of you trying to force your way into that personal space. So yeah, hopefully that's hopefully that is a concept that you keep in mind, and don't feel don't push too hard trying to get into someone's space. So I guess moving away from the tips.
I'd like to mention that's, I don't know how more confident girls do it, but as a shy girl myself, I would often wait for the boy to show interest first. So you get that through eye contact. If a boy's looking at you, you go, ooh, maybe he wants to talk to me. If they show no interest in you whatsoever, it's just kind of like, well, I'm staring at them and they're staring at the other girl. Not even going to try anything.
And paying attention. And just forming a connection with that person. Even if you don't think anything will come of it, forming those connections with people. Like as I said, her housemate, I tried to form a connection with her. I tried, form a friendship with her, even though despite it ended up her having a boyfriend. That doesn't mean I need to throw away that little interaction that I had. And as you see, I ended up getting invited to a housewarming party because I was friendly, and I ended up going shopping with them, even getting a bunch of new clothes. That actually brings me to a practical tip, another practical tip I want to layer in. Something I personally do, and something I know a bunch of other people do, is whenever I'm moving into a new social situation like that, I go buy new clothes, a new outfit. I don't know. That's just a purely practical thing. I don't really know. I can kind of guess at the psychology behind that, but like in that situation there, I went out, bought a new pair of jeans, new pair of shoes, new shirt, and I wore those, that night to this little housewarming party. And I've done that many, many times, like going on to the cruise where I started to first learn about confidence. I bought a bunch of new clothes, and I don't know, just helped me shift. I know lots of girls like to dye their hair after they break up.
Get a haircut.
Or get a haircut, or do something like that. It's just to be able to separate yourself from past feelings of awkwardness. So if you are currently moving out of high school, or you're moving out of some sort of social situation or social circle where you have these awkward feelings tied to you, shifting things, changing your hair, changing your clothes and stuff like that can just help a little bit in the back of your mind in terms of psychology, and moving into that new social interaction situation with a bit more positivity. But in terms of finishing off our story, the night progressed and we eventually gravitated towards each other, and I'm sure we ended up making out that night. And long story short, I ended up wrestling a guy that was trying to get into her bed and, injuring his leg and and
So romantic.
and spent the rest of the weekend there. I took Sunday off work, and I just hung out. We went to the beach and that. And then after that point, I gave Amy my phone number and told her to send me a message. I don't know, I was feeling kind of ballsy at that point, so I gave her my phone number. I didn't get her phone number. And we waited a few days. We kind of went back to just being independent for a few days, but eventually Amy sent me a message, and we, things progressed from there. We met up regularly and eventually ended up dating pretty soon after that.
Within a week?
Yeah, probably within a week after that point. And then I broke my leg on a motorbike accident, and she cared for me. So that kind of sealed the deal on that. So if you find someone you're about to get into a relationship with, or you think it's on the verge, have a car accident, injure yourself badly, or not too badly, just badly enough to be cared for, and then go hang out with them. And yeah, that's not an actual tip. Don't actually do that. Oh, Lord. So, oh man, there's so many things to cover in this. I had so many other tips and things in my mind, but some of which escape me at the moment. Did you have any tips you wanted to layer in on top of the story?
Well, we talked about this on the walk. I don't know if it's part of this week or next week, but
bring it up. I'm sure it could be interesting.
Just meeting people in the first place.
Yeah, that's what.
Where do you
actually
meet people?
That was a good point. That was definitely something I wanted to cover. So, bringing this back to being a hardcore gamer, you do have to put yourself in situations where you will be able to form connections with people. Now, you can make friendships and even meet girls online. It is possible. Amy's made a bunch of friends online. I've made a bunch of friends online, and potentially that can form relationships as well. But you still need to meet those people in person as well, because it's very hard to form an actual connection with someone without meeting them in person, being face to face, that sort of thing. You can do quite a bit online and stuff like that, but I think you need to get out there. And something I really, really wanted to hone in on was that I don't know, there's this overall idea that we need to go clubbing to pick up chicks. Now, that's not just an Australian thing, even though that sounds very Australian. I guess in case the slang doesn't carry, I guess that you need to go to bars to meet girls, or you need to go to clubs or nightclubs or things like that to meet girls. You need to go out to raves and parties and things like that. However, take a moment to think, and this is something that took me a few years to figure out. Is that actually something you're that interested in doing? I don't mind having a few drinks and doing a little bit of a party sort of thing, but I didn't actually really enjoy those situations that much. I didn't enjoy that atmosphere. I didn't enjoy that as an activity or an interest. It was not something I was interested in. So I eventually figured out through a series of meeting and even forming connections with girls that I ended up realizing I was not interested in at all, that if you do things you're not interested in the pursuit of female connection, then you're going to connect with females that you're not interested in. So don't feel compelled to do what is seen as the common social thing in order to meet people. Instead, do things you're interested in, the things that you think you'll meet people of a like mind. So a lot of people do meet in university, and that's simply because there's so many different social groups in university that can lead to people of similar mental makeup meeting each other. Both Amy and myself ended up having a lot in common, and we met through university, kind of through weirdish sort of circumstances. But you could meet someone through a D&D group. You could meet someone, doing some sort of. You could start a martial art. Yeah, sports are good if it's kind of like a combined sport where you're getting some sort of male female interaction happening. You might not meet a girlfriend on the footy team, but
you might meet your boyfriend.
You might meet a boyfriend on the footy team, and that's okay. That's okay. But you do really have to put yourself in those situations. And as I said, even like in a micro sense, when you are in something where there is opportunities, taking advantage of those opportunities. As I said, going to each new university class, I made an effort to sit next to a girl and talk to them, and just be polite and be friendly, and smile at them, all that good jazz. try to just practice confidence, because it is something you do need to practice. I don't know. So this has been a pretty big ramble, but that's the idea of Monday Musings. Myself and now Amy like to have a bit of a ramble, and maybe you guys get at least one thing out of this, or a couple of things, or maybe you just find it entertaining, and maybe you're much more socially adept than even we are, and you just laugh at us being awkward. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Maybe you've enjoyed the Cube World footage in the background. That's sure to be there as well. We're going to go play some Cube World after this, so we have background footage for you guys. Anyway, I'm ZiggyD, and I'm Amy. And thanks for watching.